For a while, I was getting these pictures sent to me by this group of guys somewhere in the world. I don't even know, but they had all bought these masks of my face off Amazon and they would send them to me. And they called themselves like the Greeley Boys or something like that. I don't know what it was. And they said they were my biggest fans. I don't know if it was a joke. It had to be a joke. I almost think to this day it was like some of my friends or something doing it, but it was the most bizarre, hilarious thing. And they would just send me, they'd all be just hanging out in like a basement and they'd all be wearing a mask with my face on it. And I hope they were doing this to a lot of other actors because that would be even funnier. But that was super bizarre. And that it stopped though. I wish it was so because it was so funny. But
Welcome to Survive the Shows.
Welcome everyone to this exciting interview segment here at Survival Shows. I'm Desiree, and today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Marcus Rosner, star of multiple Hallmark, Great American, and Up TV movies that we love. Join us as we delve into Marcus' insight into his world. And thank you, Marcus, to join us today.
happy to be here.
Great. So, we can start talking about one of your movies, the last who premiered on LMN. There's No Way Out. Okay. What initially attracted you to your role in this movie, and how did you first envision bringing him to life, your character?
Yeah, No Way Out was I actually produced that one with our company in Edmonton, Northern Gateway Films. I really like the script. We were trying to find a thriller to make for a while in our partnership with TF1 America is the company that we partner with on those for the Lifetime channel. And they'd sent us a few thriller scripts, but when we got this one, we thought, oh, this is like a really strong, subtle, well-paced script. I think it's a little different than some of the other thrillers that are sort of a little more on the nose. This one's a little bit more about the character development, and so I really like that aspect. And we had made so many rom-com movies recently with the company that featured myself and a female lead that it was nice to sort of have this ensemble cast and get some younger actors around, and it really helped sort of rebuild this fun, energetic feeling on set. And so those are some of the elements I really enjoyed about that one.
Great. And can you describe for this movie your dynamic with your fellow cast members you just mentioned and the director, with the cast members and director on set? And was there a particular rehearsal or scene read that stuck with you?
Yeah, well, my producing partner Dylan Pierce, who also directed this movie, and I cast the whole movie as well. So we got to pick the cast that I would be playing alongside, and that's always a fun process because I can really sort of build around not just the most talented people, but also who I know will have good chemistry with me. And so. Yeah, it was really fun to have a lot of newer actors, including my co-star in this, Elizabeth Longshaw, who's the star of the film. She had recently started acting like a year prior or something like that in her 30s, which is such a rare story, and to make such a success of it so quickly is even rarer. And her enthusiasm, I mean, she would kind of confess later after we wrapped that she was intimidated and freaked out and sort of a little overwhelmed at times. But she did such a good job of handling that, and I don't think most people could tell the whole time. And she just did such a great job, but you could feel her how much it meant to her to be there. And the further I get along in my career, it's just so important to surround myself with those kinds of people because it really keeps my own interest alive. And so yeah, that and some of the younger actors that we had on this one playing the young girls. Um, it was just a really fun, energetic set.
That's great. And talking about the genre transition. You have built a strong reputation in rom-com movies and holiday movies. What's the biggest adjustment you made stepping into a thriller like There's No Way Out?
I don't. I've done thrillers before. I actually led a thriller before I had even led a rom-com back in the day. So I'm familiar with this territory, but I hadn't made one of these in many years because I thought they were kind of too corny given the budgets. Just some of the ones I had done before, I had kind of a bad experience with the final product, and um, so I knew that if we were going to do another one, I really wanted it to be a good script because I didn't want it to be too corny. And so I don't know, the adjustments are pretty minimal. You just want to be a real person, despite the tonality of the film you're working on. And so you just play a little heavier. You play a little, you can go a little slower. In the rom-coms, it's very like upbeat, quick pace. The thrillers sort of thrive on a little slowness, and the camera's moving slow, and the actors are talking lower. And so those are some of the adjustments that are made.
Great. And your Christmas films often tap into warmth and nostalgia, whereas this element movie is about terror and tension. How did you switch mindset between those very different emotional palettes?
It's a good question. It's a good acting question. I feel like I've been doing this so long now, sometimes it just is so automatic that it's hard to think about what the process to get there was. You play the real stakes of the scene. In the rom-coms, I'm falling in love, and so I feel like I'm falling in love, and I just stay present and try to connect with my co-stars. And in the thrillers, a lot of spooky stuff's happening, so you try to you try to tap into that and be honest with it. So honestly, the onset vibe of making these was not dissimilar. Like it feels very much the same on set. You're still having a lot of fun. You just kind of tap into a heavier energy when the camera starts rolling, I guess.
Great. And of all the holiday Christmas films you've done, which scene or moment is your personal favorite and why?
Oh, I've done so many now. It'd be hard to pick out a particular one. There's a movie called Coupled Up for Christmas that me and my company produced a few years ago.
Yeah.
It stars myself and Sarah Canning. I've always loved this scene where I walk up to her family's cottage and she and I have to lie to her mom about being a couple, and we're kind of figuring it out on the spot. And I remember that it felt really good on the day with Sarah and I and the actress playing her mom. It just felt really funny, and when I watched it back, it's one of the few scenes that I watch back and I go, I am really proud of how funny that scene actually plays. And so that one stands out sometimes in my mind, but there's been so many now, it's hard to pick one.
Okay, great. And um, talking about your typecasting and variety, how do you choose roles now to keep your career diversified?
I how do I choose roles to keep my career diversified? I can choose the projects that I produce, and then I act in most of those. So I guess I do have some control over the roles that I act in, but generally an actor at my level or almost any level will be subject to the roles that choose them. And so, unless you're Tom Cruise or Keanu Reeves or somebody like that, you're not typically selecting your roles with a very strategic you're kind of auditioning for things, being offered things, and you take what is sort of given to you. But in terms of the things that we choose to produce, um, you I mean, you do your best to do some new stuff, but you also, you got to make a living, and I've been fortunate to be in a lot of Christmas films because people like to watch a lot of Christmas films, and those characters are very similar that I play in all those, but it's always a fun time. So I don't know. It's sort of project to project, I guess. Yeah, I would say it changes.
Great. And on holiday movie productions, do you and the crew celebrate the Christmas spirit on set? And any fun traditions or prank you've started?
On set? That's a good question. Yeah, because I make so many movies with our company, we work with the same crew all the time. It is very familial feeling. It feels like a big family. My wife is one of our producers. My producing partner's wife is one of our producers, and so it's a very family-oriented thing. Regular pranks or anything like that, nothing springs to mind. Just a lot of bad, dirty, offside jokes that kind of cross the line sometimes on our sets that because we're also comfortable with each other that we have to reel it in sometimes. I won't get into details, but every once in a while we do sort of look at each other like, okay, we got to be a little more professional around here. So
Good. And talking about fans' engagement, what's the most memorable piece of fan mail or social media reaction you have received about one of your Christmas films?
most memorable social media reaction. That's a great question. For a while, I was getting these pictures sent to me by this group of guys somewhere in the world. I don't even know, but they had all bought these masks of my face off Amazon and they would send them to me. And they called themselves like the Greeley Boys or something like that. I don't know what it was. And they said they were my biggest fans. I don't know if it was a joke. It had to be a joke. I almost think to this day it was like some of my friends or something doing it, but it was the most bizarre, hilarious thing. And they would just send me, they'd all be just hanging out in like a basement and they'd all be wearing a mask with my face on it. And I hope they were doing this to a lot of other actors because that would be even funnier. But that was super bizarre. And that it stopped though. I wish it was so because it was so funny. But yeah.
Great. And talking about your career in general, looking back, which role, holiday movies or rom-com or thriller, do you consider your breakout performance and why?
My breakout performance. One of the first things that got me out of bartending was When Calls the Heart, which has gone on to be a long-running, very popular cable show. So that was a big moment. Short-lived, but it was something that people still sort of reference me, and that sort of was my foray into the whole Hallmark world. What else is there was a movie I did a couple years ago for BuzzFeed Studios called My Fake Boyfriend. I got to star alongside some bigger names than I've gotten to star alongside before. And I was on the poster, which was exciting for me. So that was cool. Probably my biggest role that I've had is upcoming. I don't know how much I can talk about it yet, but I'm joining a TV series that's about to start shooting, and I expect that'll be a bigger moment in my acting career. Um, yeah, don't know. Honestly, my favorite acting I've ever done has been in acting classes, and I think that a lot of actors would probably say the same thing because it's some of the most fulfilling work you get to do.
Great. We are looking forward to know more about this new TV show. And um, talking about your artistic influences, which actors or directors have influenced your craft the most? And have you ever had a chance to work with any of them?
Um, I mean, I was a big George Clooney fan growing up, and I got to act early on in my career in a very, very small role in a movie that he was starring in called Tomorrowland. I was cut out of that movie, my one tiny part, which I totally get. Um, but and I got to be in his presence one day on set, and so that was cool. I got to watch him act a scene on set, and that was a really cool experience. It actually made it a little more less intimidating, the craft, because it was such a well-respected, renowned actor who was a proper movie star and seeing that when he acted, it looked like how everybody else acted. It wasn't some magical thing. Um, and he was doing great work, but it wasn't like some, he didn't come down from the heavens and do something completely unseen before. And so that was inspiring in a way that it sort of made it took the fear of doing the job away a bit. Um, and then there's other people I've met on set, Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki I met on this show called Supernatural. I always reference them as sort of highly professional men who were the lead of a TV series and really set like a great example of what I wanted to grow into one day. And then my favorite like actors out there that are sort of in my category would be like Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he's incredibly talented. I've never worked with him, but somebody I've always respected. Um, yeah, those are a few.
Great. And talking about your personal holidays, how do you celebrate the actual holidays in your personal life? And do you find yourself adopting cinematic traditions?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I I would say usually every holiday season, my mom and I will watch whatever Christmas movie or multiple that I've made that year, which for the last 10 years has been usually at least one. Um, and so that's something that's sort of developed as a funny little tradition. Besides that, I don't know. Yeah, that's one that comes to mind, I guess.
Great. And talking about work-life balance, the holiday movie circuit is seasonal. How do you spend your off-season month creatively or personally?
How do I spend the time that I'm not acting?
What's your
Um,
hobbies in the more
yeah, I discovered after I stopped having to have a regular job and could just be a full-time actor, I quickly discovered that I didn't care for free time very much, and it kind of made me miserable in a lot of ways. So I ended up producing and I do a lot of writing, screenplays and so on and so forth. And I actually just wrote and directed my first short film. And so I just do a lot of different aspects of the filmmaking process, I guess, in my free time, whether it's developing other projects or producing takes up a ton of time when we're actually making a project. And so, yeah, when I'm not acting, I do sort of have like a regular work schedule. It's less demanding than a proper job, obviously, because I can pick my own hours, but I do get up and work on stuff every day. So,
great. And talking about your uh, selection criteria on the script, when you are reading a script now, what are your top three things you look for? Genre, character arc, or director, or whatever you choose.
um, if it's like an MOW, like a movie of the week, like one of the Hallmark rom-coms or Lifetime thrillers that I've been known to do a lot, then the things that I first think about are what's my occupation in the film? Because I like to try new jobs. I think one of the reasons I became an actor is because I couldn't decide on just one traditional occupation, and I knew that acting would give me this chance to sort of sample a wide variety of jobs. I also think about who my co-star is. I want to know who else is acting in it. I want to know who's directing it, because this is sort of these TV movies are a relatively small world. So I end up knowing a lot of these people a lot of the time. Where is it filming is obviously a big one. Where am I going to get to go, or where am I going to have to go? Um, do I get to stay home, which is pretty rare, but has been more and more of an interest as I get older. But yeah, those are some of the things.
Great. And talking about your dream collaboration, is there any filmmaker or co-star you've never worked with but would love to in a horror
Yeah,
movies or in other genre?
yeah. I mean, so many, obviously. I've had the great pleasure working with, I think, most of the folks in the Hallmark world space. So there's very few left in that. Maybe Autumn Racer is somebody who I've always thought was very talented that would be a great co-star at some point. But besides that, like I'd love to do like a Martin Scorsese movie or a Christopher Nolan movie or anything like that. Work with Denzel Washington. Those kinds of things are always going to be dreams.
Great. And talking about career challenges, what's been the toughest role you have had to tackle so far, and how did you push through any obstacles?
The toughest role I've had to do. Honestly, often when we produce our films at Northern Gateway, and I'm acting in them, it's very challenging just because it has both sides of my brain working at once, the creative and the logistical. And there's always, almost on every single one of those movies, there's like a breaking point, unavoidably. So, but I've gotten better at um, as I've gotten older, I've just gotten better at keeping the big picture with things. I sort of take the pressure of getting it exactly right on every single day and just being okay with taking some losses on some days and being like that wasn't the best and things kind of faltered, but in the grand scheme of things, we're gonna get a movie done and we're having great careers and so don't stress too much.
Great. And talking about holiday movies in general, why do you think audiences are so drawn um, on to Christmas holiday films, and how do you make your collaboration stand out?
Um, why are they so drawn to these? I would say that the appetite with which the audience does seem to be drawn to Christmas films, holiday films, always astounds me because I am the type of person who, uh, for Christmas films, I'm like, oh, I know I like this one, so let's watch that one again because that feels like part of the tradition. I'm very fortunate that there's a lot of other people that want to watch new movies all the time, but I don't have the answer as to why. How do I make mine stand out? I just try to have as much fun as possible making them. I know that I like watching myself more when I can tell that I was having fun at that moment, and so I try to do that as best as I can.
Great. And always talking about holiday movie, if you could revisit one of your past holiday roles, uh, how would you approach to the character different now, and which one would you choose?
Um, there was this movie I made. I think it was the first Christmas movie for Hallmark that I was ever in. It was called The Christmas Detour. It starred Paul Green and the Queen of Christmas, whose name is oddly escaping me in this exact moment. Um, but I played her fiance um, and Candace Cameron Bure. There it is. I played her fiance, and I thought that the tonality of these films was sort of heightened to a point that was ridiculous. And I was playing that, and I watched that now and cringe because I should have played it much more grounded and less corny than I think I did. But this was like 10 years ago, and I was young and new and all the excuses. But yeah, that one I look back on or whenever I see it pop up on TV and I kind of cringe. So I would change that one.
Okay, great. And mm, talking about holiday movies, holiday movies can be commercially driven. How do you balance that with your own artistic integrity and goals?
Um, that's a great question. That's a really good question because it's so true. They are obviously very commercially driven, and then how do you bring an artistic passion to them? I find little moments within scenes that I think I can do something that I haven't done before or like I haven't seen before and try little new things. Even if there's like microscopic moments in the film, even if they don't make it in once the film gets edited. Um, they're a chance to experiment because the stakes are a little lower than other big budget things. And I've done these particular scenes so many times that I know I can do what's needed very easily. And so it does offer this space to be a little more experimental and take chances that you might be a little more afraid to take on something else.
Great. And if you ever to give an advice for newcomers, what of advice would you give to an aspiring actor hoping to break into the seasonal movie circuit?
Aspiring actor hoping to break into the holiday film space, I would say figure out what people think you look like in this world. Like this world is obviously very well known for archetypes, you know. There's like the best friend, there's the lead, there's the grandma who's baking the cookies. There's all these different types of roles, but they do cast to type as opposed to against type more than like other things will cast deliberately against type because that adds this very unseen, weird element that is kind of interesting for like an A24 movie or something like that. Whereas Hallmark movies and this space is casting to type more than otherwise. And so I would say get good at playing what you look like is something that I always advise people who want to get into this space. Like you can't change what you look like, or you can to a certain extent, but you generally look like what you look like. And so if you want to be in these kinds of movies, just get good at playing what you look like in this movie, in this kinds of movies.
Great. And talking about long-term vision, when do you see yourself creatively, 5 or 10 years from now? And there are any genres you've yet to explore, but you hear about?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, like I mentioned, I just wrote and directed my first short film, and so I would like to expand that part of my career. I really love writing in short stints as long as it sort of sees the light of day. And so I guess I'd like to write more, possibly direct more. I'm writing a psychological thriller right now that I've been in the works with for a long time, and so. I guess in 5, 10 years, I would hopefully see my acting career to be going as it's going, if not better, and that I'd consider myself very lucky if that was the case. But then I'd also like to add some writing and directing to that mix, I think, to sort of get some of my own ideas out there more. I think I want to start expressing some of my own thoughts on screen now that I understand the filmmaking process sort of inside and out. So.
Great. So the last question, as usually for me, talking about your upcoming projects, can you share any hints about your upcoming projects?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was recently in the season finale of a show called Sullivan's Crossing, which is on Netflix now and CW and CTV here in Canada.
Yeah,
So I would anticipate people can see me more on that show probably without saying too much. But that yeah, I'll be popping up on that series much more. And so. That we got a couple Christmas movies coming out this holiday season. I believe we have one that we produced that I'm starring in on Lifetime Channel. It's called Landing in Christmas. It's about a couple that gets stuck in Alaska for Christmas. We have lots of cool outdoor things that we got to do for that, like ice skating and ice pond fishing and dog sledding. So that was a lot of fun to shoot. That's coming out. I got one called Uphill for Christmas, which I think will be on the Hallmark Channel. We'll see. Stars myself and Vanessa Lenges. I manage a ski resort that is going under, and we need to save the ski resort. Um, and then we got a thriller coming out, starring myself and Brittany Bristow that we actually just did some sound editing on today. That's called My Final Victim. I think it's going to be airing in September on Lifetime Channel. So. And then I got my short film that is going to be doing a festival run in the new year. So lots of stuff.
Oh, great. Do you think you will come into Venice Film Festival?
Oh, I'd love to. I'm going to be submitting to Venice. Yeah, definitely
If
going to be
you
submitting.
if you're coming here to Venice, please let me know through Morgan. Okay.
I will. I will for sure.
Thank you. So this is it. Make sure all of you to quote all the amazing filmography of Marcus Rosner. And thank you, Marcus, to join us today.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
It's a pleasure. And thank you all for watching. Bye.